It's not an unboxing video as such, it's just the stuff's in a box. Okay, take a look at this. So a miniature red dot budget economy model. Lots of little bits and pieces. Can't get it out. No. Come on, yeah, that doesn't look too shocking. We'll see how good that is in a bit. Ooh. Timber pallets. Something else I've ordered. Can't remember. Ah, the little gas cylinders. Some of those. It is an unboxing video, isn't it? This is shocking. There we go. Invoice, always one of them. And this. Hi, Neil First Neil Worksworth Gunroom. Well, I've done my admin and got this booked into my register. So let's take a look at it. So I've just had this a special order. I don't generally keep one of these in, so but I might change my view on that. So maybe something we'll keep on the shelf. So made for SMK. It's not entirely clear where it's made, but we can maybe look into that. So this is their Victory CP2. And it's quite interesting when you come to open it. At the risk of looking like an unboxing video again. It's a bit Day of the Jackal, isn't it? Look at that. It's so this is a CO2 pistol, unless it's a rifle, unless it's a carbine. But so if you're not familiar with it, these CO2 guns work off what the old ones amongst us will think of as a sparklets bulb. Used to use them in soda siphons. So that's what it takes. One of those, and this model's in 2.2, and there's also one in 177. And there's also, aside from this black one, there's a camouflage model available, which is what this was supposed to be. So this may be going back, or I may put it on the shelf, we'll see. But the gentleman had ordered a camouflage one, so unfortunately he won't be getting this today because it's quite distinctly not camouflage. So this is what you get. I'll try and show you that's clear for what it's worth. There you go. So a bolt action target pistol. I mean, it's kind of suitable for rats and such like, I suppose. We'll discuss the energy levels in a bit. But does it point? Yeah, it's not so bad. It's quite a light thing. And significantly, it comes with loads of little bits and pieces. And I really quite like this. It's got I've not shot it yet. Maybe I wouldn't like it when I've shot it, but it's got a stock, a silencer, which I did check and does appear to actually be a silencer. Sometimes you suspect these things are just going to be a barrel shroud, because of course US market, I guess they can't have these things without same paperwork as a machine gun. There's the silencer, that is, not the air pistol. Magazine. In fact, there's two magazines, another one in there, and then this. A longer barrel. So let's take a look at what combinations we can assemble this whole thing into. Certainly customer is looking for it with the scope on. So as far as I can see, that's going to mean fitting the rifle barrel. Let's take a look at a little toolkit here. It's just a couple of Allen keys. I think we're going to be needing those. We'll see what we can do with it. Well, I suppose the first thing to do with anything is just check it's not loaded. So, yep, that's not loaded. Push that forward. Something I can see on doing that is, there's a catch for it. Ah, there we are. So if you can just see there, that little loading platform just pushes out, and that allows the installation of a magazine. And it appears it's just held in with a magnet, which is seems to be reasonably effective. Quite a nice little thought there. So I'll close that up. In fact, no, I'm going to open it, and I'm going to remove this barrel, which I should think is going to be one of these Allen keys. 50% chance of getting it right, got it wrong. So it should be this one then, right. So as far as I can see, just those two. No, it's three. All three. Undo that. Now, I guess that's just going to draw out. Maybe slacken it off a little more. There's a couple of O-rings on the barrel here. And there's spares included. Oops, taking the grub screw out. The spares included in the packaging, which is a nice touch. Will it come out? Yep. Oh, there we go. And it does look as though there's a serial number on the barrel. There's maybe a date of manufacture. I'll have to get the handle in, it's absolutely tiny. So, here's our other barrel. Again serialised, or something. Take the tape measure and just compare those two. So, if I remove this threaded end cap, we've got about 8 1/4 inch or 210 millimeters for the short barrel, and 17 3/4 inch or 450 millimeters for the longer barrel. And as far as I can see, this is just going to fit in broadly the same manner. Just seat it in there. There it goes. And the middle hole's got a small detent, which I would hope is going to just make sure it's aligned vertically with the foresight. So open that one up. And then I suspect I'm going to need to remove this, which allows access for the gas cylinders. And then I back off this screw, should be able to line this up over it. Bear in mind I've never done this before, and in traditional style I've completely neglected to read the manual. Which is after all what most customers will do, neglect to read the manual. There it is, doesn't seem too difficult. Clamp that up. Refit the cover for the gas cylinder compartment. And then we have this, which looks quite a thing on its own, except at the moment it's now got two sets of rear sights. Which is kind of interesting. Let's take the screwdriver, and if I take this off, I think I'm going to then have access. It's just going to come off. What holds this on? No, that's just the elevation adjustment. So there's a question. What holds that on? It does appear to be on. Yes, it is on a little dovetail. I think we'll have to refer to the manual now before I get too mad with it. So what I've discovered is that the rear sight for the rifle or carbine barrel seems to be permanently fixed. Now it must be bonded on. I'm a bit reluctant to try and drive it off, but it doesn't appear to want to slide. There's no evidence under here of a screw attaching it, so I suspect it's been glued. The rear sight, just get it here, just make it focus a bit there. So the rear sight I can detach with a screw here. However, customers asked for this to be fitted with a scope, and I think it's just going to have to clear both of them. But to see where the scope's going to end up sitting, I'm going to fit the stock. So here we have this I presume is the entirety of fitting the stock. So there's this little tab which looks a bit like a sling swivel. I don't think it really is. Maybe use it for a lanyard or something. So I'll remove that, and then I was rather expecting that was going to just slide off, which would be nice. Any further information do we have? Take out the bottom cap screw, dismantle the bottom cap, assemble the rear stock. Yes, so dismantle it. Yeah. Oh, here it goes. There we are. Struggling to keep all this right in front of the camera for you, so apologies there. It does look as though that's storage space in there, possibly for additional cylinders. If you've got, I suppose if that's only going to come off quite readily, it's not really a big deal. This is, I don't know if there's an actual metal frame moulded into it. It's generally a plastic moulding. It's got some heft to it. It feels really quite rigid. Let's see if it's too rigid for me to be able to. Oh no, here we go. Oh, there we are. No, that's solid. I'm quite impressed with that. So replace that screw. And then we have that, which actually seems to work reasonably well, though you would have to take this off. It begs the question in my mind here, why, despite the fact that you've got this, the longer barrel, why you would not use this rear sight with it? Because it'd be fine. Except now you've got this additional rear sight that's now in your way. So I think it might be an argument for, it's up to the customer to decide if they want that really knocking off, but I would say that that ought to be fine with that. I think it would probably want a narrower rear notch. If you've got a narrower rear notch here, that would be just fine as a rear sight. Anyway, in this case we're going to fit a scope. So, if I just take a look at sort of eye relief area, okay, so it's going to want to be around there, and as I suspected, that's not really going to lend itself to putting mounts on. And so the fun begins. It's okay there, too far, wants to be there. Oh, deep joy. Time to put my thinking cap on. So it looks like it's going to be possible. It is going to need to sit quite high. Yes, I am going to put the other mount on it. But you can see there, limited clearance. I suspect that might just be pushed on. So, but it's not going to. I'm still not going to be able to get it far enough forward to be able to use a front mount anyway, so unless you take it off and just do away with it, that's kind of still a bit of a problem. Onwards and upwards. Let's try the other mount. I've now got plenty of screws all over the place. I've got every medium-sized Allen key in the workshop has come into the shop here. There's a couple more screws into that. So there's, I think I might have mentioned earlier, there's two colour schemes in this, camouflage or black. We'd ordered the camouflage one, but the black one came, and as customer needs it for this weekend, has decided he'll just have the black one. In the camouflage one, it's the stock and so on that's camouflaged. I think the rest of it's just black. I'll just try and set that up so it's square. There's not really a lot you can reference off on this, so I think in old-fashioned style it'll just have to be eyed in. I'm sure you'll know yourselves how long you can spend fitting up a scope, so I'll spare you all the fine adjustments, but I think it's interesting to see quite how we go on. Now of course at this point you can now see that if I had a brain, I would have removed this screw and taken out the rear sight before I attached this, but we'll get there. It should hopefully just be a matter of removing this. I've got to put all these somewhere else now. And, oh, yeah, that's, no it's not. Nope. More to it than that then. So I'll remove I'm now removing here the elevation screw. We'll see what's underneath that. Certainly one of these, although it goes from being a, yes, there we are, screw underneath there. Try and catch the light with it. Just in here, another posi drive. So whilst this can be swapped from being rifle to pistol, and in theory I think just the barrel itself, yeah, it wouldn't take you long. As soon as you've got sights on this thing, other than the open sights it's supplied with, this is not going to be, oh, there goes the spring, this is not going to be a speedy process. At this stage we need to find somewhere to keep all those together. So, go for another one of these super high mounts. Which ironically is see-through, although I don't think that's really going to help. It might do. Be interesting if because these mounts have got an aperture, are we going to be in the position of being able to see those sights through them? A nice bit of serendipity if we can. Somewhere like that. Oh, we can, you know. Now I'm going to have fun trying to demonstrate that to the camera. I'll give it a go. Yeah, just about there. I think you can get the general idea that that is possible, even if you can't see it perfectly on screen. So I can have this mount right towards the back, which is what I'm going to do. So we can perhaps see there the front block is just the same width as that. I would think that's probably, it's partially coincidence, but these things are generally an inch deep. I think the customer was probably right in suggesting that I fit this up for him, because if you'd not messed around with sights and scope mountings quite a bit, I think you could be tearing your hair out trying to get this all together. It's not far from impossible, but it could be quite a while. I found it a bit of a fiddle. Simply because it's non-obvious. It's not a common setup. Normally you don't find that the iron sights are in the, or open sights are in the way of the scope to this degree. There's no, because of the nature of it, there's very little room to have the scope anywhere else. I've only just got acceptable eye relief as it is. This is a Hawk scope, popular in the UK. Fixed 4x40 was my recommendation because he's only going to want it for relatively close range. And I don't think the weapon system would, this weapon system a bit strong, the weapon system would really work too well with something much larger, but yeah, that bit of ratting. I think this could be okay. So there we are. We can also still use the iron sights. Oh, can we just? It's going to depend on the elevation, and guess what? You now can bear, oh, you can just okay, you can see there it's just possible there. Really struggling with focus today. Just possible there to get the screwdriver in to adjust the rear sight. Take another look and see what the side picture would be like. Yeah, kind of, there just about is one. It's not great, but it's trying to look through that little gap underneath the scope, so you can see that's always going to be a bit problematic. However, our customer has had asked about a red dot and as an alternative, and I said to him, because he was certainly very enthusiastic, I said, well, why don't we have both? So we'll see if we can offer both. And I think for the purposes of this, which is intended to be a black backyard plinking and a bit of rat smashing, we'll see if this is going to work. So what we have here is a little cantilever mount that's going to go on the scope. So you can just see that there. Get the focus on it. Mount that on the scope and then mount this miniature red dot, which you can see here. Now the miniature red dot has a cover. It's made by Milbro, or made for Milbro, I suspect. Milbro, a Scottish company, British company. I don't think this has been made in the UK. I'm pretty confident it won't have been. But it's a little aluminium housing. It's quite neat. A nice little feature that I don't know if they've just copied it off Shield. Certainly Shield did do them on these. That in fact so did Doctor, as I recall. That once you put the cover on, it turns the red dot off, so it saves you power. And it's a Picatinny mount, and you've got a bit of adjustment, and what there is included with it is this tiny little screwdriver. You can perhaps just see that there, and a marked up elevation wheel, so that you can, as far as I can see, push the screwdriver through here and then use it to see how far you've adjusted it. So I'll have a fiddle with that in a bit. But in the first instance, see if I can get the thing mounted up. Now this bracket is one I've purchased from Ant Supplies. I don't get trade discount or anything from them, I just order things, and I've always found their customer service first rate. In fact, we just had a query over a component, and he remedied that as best he could, absolutely right away. So I just work with their retail prices. They're inexpensive, and supplies in the UK. They've got all sorts of bits and pieces. I think they sell a lot, to be honest, to the airsoft market, so they might not be exactly what you're going to want to put on your high power rifle, but that said, some of their stuff certainly seems to be of a quality that looks perfectly good for centerfire work. Some of the sights and bases, other things that perhaps might not be so suitable, but certainly worth giving them a go. So here we go with the Picatinny mount. It's getting more Day of the Jackal. The only difference between this and Day of the Jackal is that the film would have been over and there'd have been no attempt on the President's life, and yeah, no walking around with this sort of hidden in a crotch. I think it's taken a little too long, but it certainly looks the part, even if it's not centre firing, that I think, isn't it? I have to go and shoot a melon. So I can now fit that onto the Picatinny rail. No. So the simplest of all the fittings is the one that's defeating me. It's quite a nice mount actually. Looks quite a nice made thing. That's more robust than you might expect. I'm going to need to tweak that about a bit. Get it vertical. In fact, I mean, the whole thing, once I take it off camera, I'll be fiddling with all these sights and making sure everything's square. I think this is quite long enough as it is. There we go. So there we have it. Take that off. How viable is that? Oh, I think that was going to want to be... Oh, that works. So I've got, if I really want them, I've got the iron sights, I've got my view through my scope, and I could have my red dot zeroed at a closer range and just shoot head up. I'll adjust the camera so you can see what it is I'm doing. So I've assembled the entire contraption here, and astonishingly it's possible to get a sight picture through the iron sights looking through this tunnel arrangement here. I can get a view through the scope quite comfortably. Now, bearing in mind this is only going to be short range stuff. This is going to be a rat across the garden sort of thing. But also if I just head up, just look using the red dot, that works just fine. The red dot, I mean this red dot retails at £40. You can imagine that you're not going to want to go to war with it. If you want to go to war, get one from Shield PSD. They make them for the British Army. Perhaps that's them on the phone. Hello, Worksworth Gunnery. Hi, how are you doing? Yes, I'm just assembling it as we speak. I'll give you a call when I've just got it wrapped up, but it shouldn't be long. Righto. Okay, speak soon. Thanks. Bye. And in a serendipitous moment, that actually was the customer, completely unscripted. That was the customer who's phoned up to see if it was ready. So there we are. So where was I? So this red dot, yes, if you're going to war, buy one from Shield PSD or some other reputable maker. Shield PSD make them for the British Army. This, if you want to shoot things in your back garden with an air rifle and you only want to spend 40 quid, I think this will be fine. It's quite bright enough. It's a nice narrow, small dot. What I have noticed is optically it's not brilliant. When you're looking through the window, there's some distortion. I'm not going to even attempt to try and show it to you on camera, but it's not like looking perfectly plain through both eyes. You've got some misalignment optically, but I think, to be honest, once you've sorted out the red dot for the application it's for, it's going to be absolutely fine. And otherwise, yeah, this is now I can get the scope up. I can red dot it if I wish. Get down on the sides. It's quite a nice little handy item. In terms of trigger pull, I've not got a gas cartridge in it. Will it even set without one? No. I was thinking it was going to be like a PCP, that it would just... But no. Let's try that. Oh, there we go. So let's just try the... So safety catch is located just here, right in the back of the trigger. So if I cock that, I'll just to give you a feel for what the trigger's like. I can't set up and shoot it, and as you've heard, the customers wait for me to deliver it. Bit of creep. It's a bit creepy, single stage. I think for the application it's fine. Anyway, so there you go, there's an overview. I can't give you a link to buy one because YouTube, but at least they're allowing me to show it. Hopefully they're not going to say, this is how you manufacture a gun. You never know. But there we are. So if you fancy one of those, now you know what to do, and have some idea of what's going to be involved in mounting a scope on it. So I hope that's been of interest. Thanks very much for watching. If you can subscribe, great, please do. All that sort of likey, subscribey stuff. We've got a Facebook page as well, that I occasionally get around to putting something on. So there we are, and see you next time. Thanks, bye.